Welcome to another Threes and TDs. Today we're going to talk a little bit about two teams, the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. They've been getting a lot of criticism about their draft class. I thought we could just talk a little bit about what I thought about their draft class, whether some of that criticism is called for or uncalled for. Let's start with the Bills to start off. As many of you all know, there was this video that kind of went viral with Bills radio interviewing Brandon Beane. And essentially the question was, why would you not support Josh Allen with more pass catchers? Like, why did you not want to give him more pass catchers? And, Brandon got a little defensive and said, essentially, for the last 8 games of the season, we averaged more points than any team in the playoffs and in the regular season. It was over 30 points. It's not our offense that needs work. It's actually our defense. And, the Bills radio guys essentially were like, well, I wish you would have heard the first 2 hours because we talked about this and this and this and this. But let's look at who the Bills got here. Let's look at the haul that they got. So first round pick was Maxx Tarantino from Kentucky. TJ Sanders, who I thought there were reports of him even going in the first round. I thought that was a good pick. Landon Jackson, the edge from Arkansas. Deion Walker from Kentucky. Jordan Hancock, safety. Jackson Hoh, the tight end. Dorian Strong, the cornerback. And then Jason Lunt and Caden Prater. There were 2 things that happened with the Bills to me in the playoffs last year. Number 1, they got exposed in the secondary against the Chiefs. They just got exposed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I have no issue with Brandon Beane essentially saying, we are going to address our secondary. We're going to address our need. And what did they do? They got a cornerback. They got a safety. They got another cornerback. And you could say, well, that's not top-end talent. Well, at least it gives them bodies. It gives them bodies to throw on that secondary so that doesn't happen again. And you might say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, then it doesn't work, but you at least tried. That secondary was exposed against Kansas City. The second thing that I thought happened in the playoffs against the Chiefs with the Bills is there was really no interior pressure from that defensive line. And so I thought Brandon Beane, what he wanted to do was said, let's go get some reinforcement on that D-line. And that's exactly what he did. I have no issue with being critical of general managers in the National Football League. But if I was Brandon Beane, I would have done the same thing. Josh Allen and his pass catchers are not the issue that they didn't make the Super Bowl. That defense is. You have to fortify the parts of your team that are preventing you from getting to that next step. So for me, I had no issue with that. I understand why the Bills reporters asked those questions, and I have no issue with them asking those questions. But I really think Brandon Beane maybe nailed the draft. This is too strong of a term. But he allocated resources and draft capital to the parts that needed to be allocated. Really, that's my take on the Bills. The other team that I wanted to talk about was the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are getting mixed reviews when it comes to the draft. And that's because Nicholas Martin was a reach for a lot of people. Same with Upton Strout. But I thought getting Michael Williams at 11 was great. I thought Alfred Collins, getting him at 43 was also great. He was potentially someone that was going to go late first round. So they didn't reach on him. Here's what the 49ers did. The 49ers went into this draft and essentially said, you are not going to run the ball on us again like you did all last year. When you think of the 49ers, under John Lynch, under Kyle Shanahan, what do you think? Defensive line, Nick Bosa. You think of the defense and how dominant they have been consistently for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Well, that wasn't the case last year. It seemed like the 49ers said, you're just not going to run on us and we're going to get down to the basics. And from a culture standpoint and from a talent standpoint, Michael Williams and Alfred Collins and CJ West as your first 3 out of the 4 first picks, I think is really good. Now, the other guys, there were a couple that some could say, well, that's a reach. We'll see how this draft class ends up. But I have no issue with the 49ers addressing an area of need. Alfred Collins is one of my favorite players in the whole draft. I thought he was really, really good. The thing with the 49ers is they are rarely aligned with what the evaluators say. With the Todd McShays, whoever your person of choice is, they're rarely aligned with them, and that's okay. They have their own kind of way of doing things. It's going to be really interesting to see how they look. I thought they came in with a plan, and the plan was we are going to fortify this defensive line. Now, some people are saying, why didn't they draft an offensive lineman? The 49ers do this. They think that they can find value in the third or fourth or fifth round with offensive linemen. And they've never been a team that really drafted an O-line in the first round. And you can criticize it, and maybe we will as it goes on. But I have no problem with them fortifying the trenches. I think the 49ers saw that Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and they essentially said, look at how dominant this Eagles D-line was. And this is who we were at one point. This is exactly the kind of team that we were at one point. Were there some breaches? I love the game and I love this kind of stuff. I'm not a general manager. I'm not a coach. These people have more access to information than I do. And do I think some of them were reaches? Like Nicholas Martin in the third round? Sure, but only time will tell. So today I just wanted to take just a couple of minutes to just talk about the Niners. I wanted to talk about the Bills. And we'll see how these two draft classes end up. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.